I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're listening to Hard NOC Life.
Well, it's the NOC in full color. You see me? The Hard NOC Life. Comics, movies, and TV. Yeah. Pop culture
Hey,
with a different
Hard NOC Life is
perspective.
back. I'm Keith, and I'm back.
Hello, I'm Dominic. How's it going, Keith?
I'm fine. How are you? Like, it's nice to be back. It's been a while since we last spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So much has happened in the world since the last time we recorded a podcast. Like monumental things, historic things.
Yeah,
For example, the last time we recorded a podcast, I did not like The Acolyte, and now it's my favorite Star Wars show ever. So that's much has changed in the since last 3 weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, I see. Okay.
So many historic, epic things, like The Acolyte. Nothing else. That's the only thing, really.
They need some to be going for that. We'll turn you around on this if you give it a few hours of your time, kind of thing. Like there was a brewing, conspiracy or surprise to be unveiled. Didn't you get that sense?
Yeah. Well, the last time we talked, it was, I think, Manny Jacinto had only been in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my takeaway was I do not like the show until Manny shows up, and now I like him. I don't know if I like the show. And I think I still actually believe that. I only like the show when he's in it.
Fine.
The other stuff I still don't really care that much about, but I like him and his Sith character and how like he's like a sentimental Sith, which makes sense because being on the dark side doesn't mean you're necessarily evil. It just means you give in to your emotions. Yeah. And like lust is one of those emotions.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's an interesting way to look at it. I hadn't thought about it in that frame, but it is a standout performance among, I think a few middling good ideas, which the Acolyte to me in general is a bunch of like middling good ideas, and the way they did. I can't say his name even. Is it Khmer? How's it said?
He eventually just became the Stranger, which is one of the things in Star Wars that I actually hate, when instead of just giving the character a name, like Grogu before he was Grogu was the Child.
Right. It's a little too like we're iconic, dude. But anyway, okay. So
his official Lucasfilm marketing name is the Stranger, which
Anyways, it says Jacinto Sith, or I know you want to call him Darth Bortles or whatever you want to call it, but let's say Darth Bortles is the standout performance and the most interesting of a bunch of, I'd say, sort of half-executed ideas.
And we did get the predicted, Asian Jedi versus Asian Sith epic lightsaber duel.
God, yeah.
Which is probably the best lightsaber duels I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably one of the only podcasts equipped to really unpack that. What'd you think of that? We're talking again about the last episode of this series, so
spoilers, whatever.
Big fight spoiler.
No one cares. They've kind of embraced the wuxia-ness of it. I think that more so than any other Star Wars.
Sure.
Because Star Wars tends to play in the samurai movie milieu, which is not big on like wire work, but from the first episode with the casting of Carrie Ann Moss, they were like, we're gonna lean into like wuxia and Matrix, whatever. And really came to a head in the end when Khmer and Lee Jung Jedi had their I forget his name. Oh, Master
Soul. Say his name.
Yeah, Soul.
That's that city in Korea.
Exactly. And he basically has no, like, he's just like a one name person. He's like Prince. Like it's usually like Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, Master Qui-Gon Jinn. He's just Master Soul. He has no
maybe they just have one name on his planet.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe in his
I didn't catch which planet he was from.
Yeah. Well, he's from Seoul, apparently.
Maybe they're all named Soul on Soul. We don't know. It's an underwritten character. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well,
for the lead, but go on.
No, you're right. I mean, but so this is the only live action Star Wars show where the main antagonist and the main protagonist are both Asian American. Well, Asian and Asian American. Asian and Asian Canadian, if we're going to be.
And guys, let's say
dudes, right.
Asian dudes.
And clearly, like one of the takeaways of Khmer is like he's the hot guy. Like, this is something
Mm-hmm.
that's never really, we've talked a lot about Asian American male representation in media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's clearly like the object of like desire. Like there was that whole scene where he was like stripping down. Like he's, I think, the first implied nudity in all of Star Wars. You know what I
Then
mean?
first implied flashing of your guy parts in Star Wars
his lightsaber.
to my knowledge, and I've seen a lot of Star Wars,
Yeah, he had his lightsaber fully like
Yeah,
swinging in that
yeah,
episode, and
yeah.
but no,
It's
but
cool.
like the fan reaction, like particularly from like the female fan reaction, is very much like
Yeah,
probably the hottest guy to ever. Like he took like the Kylo Ren ness of it all to like a whole
right.
nother level in terms of like the fandom.
Yeah, and then on that point, may I say I'm fully in favor of it because the Kylo Ren is a fandom I find kind of annoying.
Yeah, a
But
little weird.
but
Shout out to
for
Brittany. I know you haven't been
we
on the
get
pod
it.
in a
It's
while.
okay. Everyone likes what they like. Everyone likes what they like. But Kylo Ren fanboyness on the stereotypically handsome white guy with a huge nose, annoying. But when it's for some reason Manny Jacinto, which is against type for the sexy dark Sith guy, dark side of the Force guy, it was kind of it was interesting. It was
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
that
Go on.
jawline will turn anyone to the dark side.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I don't know if you wanted to continue your point, but I wanted to say that that Manny Jacinto it has a special space. He has always been sort of the cute one in in The Good Place. He was considered like the cute dumb guy. That was
Yeah.
his type, right? So it's interesting to him develop this thing where he's sort of like the alpha evil cute guy.
Yeah. No, I mean his like coming out party when he was fully revealed as the mysterious Sith character that everyone saw a mile away. Which again, I think some of the criticism we didn't get into since we didn't cover the show week to week was a lot of people were upset. Well, they telegraphed that from the beginning, and I kind of think like that
Eh,
was the point.
eh,
Like his reveal wasn't really the big dark. They revealed it in like what episode 4.
eh,
You know what I mean? So it's like
eh.
that wasn't the big secret of the show. The big secret of the show is like Soul's not a good guy. That's the big secret.
Right, right, right. But
So
but again, if we just went back not even 15 or 20 years, young audiences, there is a time when the Asian guy is never that part.
right,
It would have
either
been
way,
a revelation. So when people are going like, "Oh, it's not a surprise." Okay, A, you read the internet too much. It is a
yeah,
surprise if you it is a surprise if you just watch the show with no freaking
right,
internet context assisting you.
absolutely,
And B, we're not too far removed from a time when it would have been impossible for that to be an Asian person in that part. And to be revealed as a major deal would have been just like it would have broke the internet, which didn't exist at that point. It would
right.
have been so out of bounds.
I mean, in that sense, the show does break a lot of bounds
Right. And
because
that's what's
like
cool about it.
the lead protagonist, as we said, was an Asian guy.
Mm-hmm.
The lead antagonist eventually is an Asian guy, and I think you alluded to this on social media. We mentioned the Kylo Ren of it all. Part of like the fandom around Kylo Ren is like shipping him with Rey,
Right.
and a lot of the like fandom here is shipping him, and it's not even a ship anymore because they kind of consummated at the end of the
Yeah.
season. But Manny, Darth Bortles, whatever the fuck his name is, Chimere, the Stranger,
Mm-hmm.
and Osha,
Yeah.
and you alluded to like the Asian male, black female,
Yeah. That
relationship being a rare,
dynamic.
and when it does air, it usually is like, there's that whole sociological thing about like black women and Asian men fare the worst on dating apps.
Yeah, we're low on the dating totem pole according to big dating app data.
Right.
Sorry, that's a hard phrase. That's a hard phrase, but it's an important one.
Data,
Big
dating data.
dating app, big data. Big data dating app. Anyway,
Yeah.
data.
No, but in pop culture to see black female Asian male
Yeah.
romance is rare, but
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Or even just like a sort of a vibe, a sexual dynamic.
Right.
And again, this
Well,
is
there's
complicated.
definitely sexual tension there.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is complicated because like I did really enjoy the actor playing Ocean. I didn't really buy their story being the main story. I
Mhm.
wanted to like it more. I really like that actor. Is Amanda Stenberg her name? But
Mhm.
and appealing, but again, that was one to me an idea that I didn't quite I didn't think it was executed so great. But I was rooting for that those characters, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the issue is that, like, for whatever reason, it's a Disney Plus mandate or a Lucasfilm mandate that they have to be like 30-minute episodes, and there's only 8 of them. You know, it is kind of hard to build momentum in what is 8 times 30? That's like too much math for me.
It's
That's
270.
like 4 hours total.
I'm just kidding. It's 240. Yes.
It's about 4. It's 4 hours.
Literally 4 hours.
So like that's not, I mean, because it's not paced like if it was a 4-hour movie, it would be paced like a 4-hour movie.
I see.
It's not.
Point.
It's got to fit into like 30-minute micro chapters, and I think it's hard to build narrative momentum when each episode is so short.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Potentially, I don't know. I mean, I say that, and my favorite show on TV is The Bear, and those are also 30-minute episodes.
There's an art to it, but whether they get to, I see your point. There's an art to getting the beats and the cliffhangers to happen in an appealing way and repeated 30-ish minute episodes, but probably The Bear has a little bit better handle on it.
Yeah.
And also because, I don't know, they're always introducing new shit, new stuff. Star Wars and everyone, there's got to be like a new type of alien or a new type of ship, and they have a different mandate.
Yeah. And and I'm someone, and this has come up multiple times on this podcast, like not being necessarily deep into the lore and following like the novels and the comics and the animated series and everything, like and the other thing that I hate the most about Star Wars in general, not just the show, is just fandom discourse around it, right? Like, and almost every pop culture property just has like awful fans, and like people reacting to how much Star Wars is ruined or vice versa. It just gets exhausting, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And well, since we're there, well, let's talk about that last fight for a minute between Soul and Darth Bortles. Because
when he threw his lightsabers, I wanted him to shout Bortles, and he didn't. So I was a little disappointed.
Nice. Well, we'll have to make a fan edit of that. That'll be real funny. Because, like, along those lines, thinking about things that people lose their minds over on the internet with basis or without basis, like, do we think the showrunner or anyone like appreciated the subtle layers of the Asian guy, the Korean national guy versus the Asian guy from the West battling to the death with lightsabers? Or do we think that was just like how it played out?
I know that Laura interviewed Leslie Headland when the show first came out and talked about all of the Asian influence on Star Wars from like 1977 and beyond. And so so I think Headland has, like, at the very least, an awareness of that dynamic. I mean, she purposefully cast both Jacinto and Lee. Like she wrote the parts for them.
Great.
I don't know a lot about Lee Jung-ji's filmography, to be honest. All I know him from the Squid Game, so I don't know if he has a martial arts background, but you just can't assume just because he's Asian he's got a martial arts background. But like Manny Jacinto does not have at least he's not associated with like martial arts, like not like Simu Liu or someone
absolutely.
like that. You know what I mean? He's like, to your point, his most famous role is the dumb guy from The Good Place.
Yeah.
And he leaned into the stereotype in that show because, like, when you first meet him, he's just the silent, Tibetan monk.
Oh, I forgot there's a whole reveal on that show.
Yeah,
I forgot
they play into the stereotype that he's like this. He's a John Yu in the beginning, and he doesn't talk, and it's like, they're perpetuating Asian stereotypes. It's like, oh no, he's actually a really dumb guy from Jacksonville,
right?
Which completely flips that like model minority.
In a weird way, that perfectly maps onto what he does in the Acolyte. But yeah,
exactly, because he plays the dumb guy in the beginning. He's like the drunk.
I totally forgot about that part of The Good Place.
He goes from Jason to John Yu, kind of, right? Evil John Yu.
Right. Okay, so I mean,
so I'm a roundabout way of saying I don't know that how intentional it was for the representation angle, but she definitely was intentional of casting those specific actors for those specific roles.
Yeah. Okay. Overall, Jacinto killing it. I think we agree on that point. But yeah,
he's the main reason I won season 2.
Yeah, there are several different levels. Yeah, he could carry a season 2, but there's several different levels going on in that last fight, which are interesting. I mean, one is the basic level the iconography of, samurai movies or wuxia movies. In the end of those movies, there were always Asian guys fighting because they were by Asian people. So like it's neat to it's sort of a meta joke on the fact that Star Wars is lifted from so many East Asian,
Right.
cultural resources, mainly Kurosawa movies, that they would finally make one where, oh, it's just like the samurai movie where there are two Asian guys fighting at the end. Because that's where it all came from,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, like I said, but this was I don't know that they've ever been like wuxia. I mean, I guess some of the Phantom Menace fighting was
Yeah.
more kung fu and
Yeah,
less
sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to
samurai.
conflate samurai movies and
Yeah,
wuxia
yeah, yeah. No,
movies,
no, no,
but
no.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's fine.
but
We're Asian. We can do that. Nobody
okay,
else can.
okay, right, yeah, right.
We're allowed to conflate cultures.
Well, because we're
That's the
conflating,
benefit
yeah.
of being
Well, we're
Asian.
conflating a few things. The point is, it is an honor to just be Asian, as Sandro once absurdly said. But yeah, and then there's the under that meta dynamic that I bet no one but people like me or you even care about. But like, it was, the not the Asian North American guy killing the Asian guy,
Yeah.
basically, as if to say, Asian, you know, Asian Westerners are here, man. We're really here, but
Oh,
we're
you
also,
you saw it as like a
but
overcoming the phobby.
we're also evil and we kill people.
Yeah.
So it's like a mixed message.
Well, talking about execution of the show, right? Like one thing that I think when they announced it, it was what was intriguing about it was that it was going to be, I mean, from what I knew about it, it was like going to be from the Sith perspective, right? So like, I don't know if you remember the original teaser poster, but it was like a lightsaber with like a blood streak,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
which kind of echoed like a red lightsaber. So like,
totally.
it took a while because I think when we last talked about the show, I was like, wow, the Jedi suck. And
Yeah,
of course the Jedi suck, especially if this is going to be the perspective of someone on the dark side.
yeah,
And what I thought was the most interesting aspect of the show was like the way that the show itself was very sympathetic to the dark side.
yes,
Right?
totally,
The
totally.
corruption was all on the Jedi,
Yeah,
and Chimera sitting in his cave, kind of like talking about how we shouldn't repress our emotions. And it's almost like, yeah, it's kind of like appealing. You should be on the dark
yeah.
side.
And yeah, so it gives life to that speech about what the dark side is, which was previously delivered, by an old guy in an opera in in episode 3, right? So, and I always like that speech because I like thinking about, that interplay, but to give it, to really visualize it, to let it speak through like standing, breathing characters was the new thing,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's the new thing. It's interesting you referenced the opera scene because you didn't notice that was Darth Plagueis in the cave, right?
My understanding it was 99% sure it was Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 100%. I don't know.
Well, to your point about
But
like,
yeah.
unless you're an internet nerd, like I was just wondering if you're a Star Wars casual, like, would you even know who the fuck that was in the
Well, if you're
cave?
Star Wars casual, you wouldn't care.
That's true. You
Or
just
or I
went, "What's
mean,
that?"
Darth Plagueis. Yeah, no, I mean there are people who like their specific jolly is like watching the show and being like, Darth Plagueis was in it. See, see,
Yeah,
see, and like that. I'm sort of over that stage. I
yeah,
get I
same.
get my thrills out of it sometimes, but it's still like, but did it fucking matter for making it a good episode? Whether
Right,
it was Darth Plagueis or like a pile of rocks.
right.
But I mean, back to the thing of like, so we have all this we finally have these articulated arguments about basically emotionality versus whatever the blue side is, stoicism and honor and all that shit. And they're just bashing each other with lightsabers, and they're, personified by these two Asian guys. And I do want to say the final thing on this rant is it's never really bought Soul. Did she write it for him, really? And I don't want to say like I'm hating on anyone, but like it was a weird fit to jam the guy in who actually had to learn English for the part, right? We talked about that.
Mhm.
And I was thinking at the time, well, you could have gotten lots of guys if you want an Asian face. You could have got a lot of dudes like Daniel Wu or someone who already speaks English and not made it such a oddly exoticized thing. You know what I mean?
Even because of his like accent.
Well, yeah,
Because
because his
I didn't
accent.
bump up against his delivery as much as I know a lot of people. That was one of the complaints about Lee Jung Jae is that like his delivery was weird because he was clearly like delivering his lines phonetically.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he's just such a good actor. I totally bought his emotion. And
Yeah, no, I mean,
like, and he sucked. Let's just be not the actor sucked, like the character sucks.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe that's it. Like maybe I should give him that grace because I was bumping up against the like I feel like you should have got another guy for this part and you only did it because Squid Games was super popular. And,
Yeah, well, that's true. I think there was definitely like she's a fan of Lee Jung Jae and is like, I want him in my show.
And that's fine.
But like, the other aspect of that argument is like, why not just let him speak Korean?
Yeah, because it's Star Wars. Freaking hell. Korean, it could be a planet where they just speak Korean.
Yeah, maybe. And there's capital city's Seoul.
But when you put it that way, now I realize it sort of works for the character because he is sort of hiding something.
Yeah.
So maybe in the long arc of the story, it kind of works that he's a little dislodged from whatever we think the normative like hero kind of Jedi is because he is actually hiding something. Which again plays into an East Asian stereotype. But anyway, so maybe that's
inscrutable.
Maybe that's deep, and I just wasn't thinking about it right away. But the point is,
speaking of Asian stereotype, is Darth Plagueis one of the Nemoidians? I just like,
I don't know.
His alien features are kind of similar to Nemoidians, I guess.
I don't know, but didn't they have some Nemoidians and they're no
yeah,
longer,
but they didn't have the Ching Chong accent.
No longer talking in Ching Chongese. So that's an advancement.
Well, I was gonna say honestly, like the fact that your lead villain and lead hero are Asian, you could have the Ching Chong accent because the problem with this is what I've preached for years. The problem with stereotypes if that's the only representation, right? But like,
absolutely,
if there's other representation, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely,
so
it gives us the whole palette.
Exactly. So I wouldn't. but I get it. I get that. You got to drop the Ching Chong for going forward. It just happens to be the ones in Phantom Menace are from like the eastern part of the planet.
Right. No, they have regional accents on Nemoidia. We get that. And congratulations, Lucasfilm. Yes, we're still talking about this shit 26 years later. Those freaking Nemoidians who like, if you're, a casual observer probably doesn't give two shits about those characters at all. I mean, I don't know if anyone bought those action figures.
No.
So
speaking of buying action figures, so after I think it was episode 5, when Chimera makes his big entrance and kills all the Jedi, including like actual lead characters, right? Like there was the Jedi Knight and then the X-23 Jedi.
Yeah, it was heavy.
Like when he kills them, you're like, holy shit! People were like so surprised they killed Carry-On Moss in the first episode. It's like no one has plot armor in this show. You're going to if you're going to die, you're going to die. And so I went when they revealed that he really was Manny Jacinto. I actually went and ordered Lee Jung Jae action figure because I was going to skip the Acolyte figures because I just wasn't like that bought into the show. As soon as Chimera shows up, I went and ordered Lee Jung Jae in the anticipation that they're going to release a Manny Jacinto action figure. They have not yet. I hope they will because I have Lee Jung Jedi on pre-order.
Wait, what are you talking about? They don't have a strange.
They haven't announced the Chimera action figure yet.
That's clearly the action figure of this. I mean,
he's got 2 lightsabers. Look, he's got a cool helmet.
Gotta have every version of that one.
He's the perfect.
I mean, and also, do they have one of I'm sorry, the lead character?
Soul? Yeah, they announced.
No, the Amanda's character.
Oh, Osha
May. Do they have one for you?
They do.
Okay.
Well, they revealed May 1st because we didn't know they were twins, right? When they announced the show.
Right. And but they gotta have at least one action figure.
Right. So they announced May before the show came out. And then I think after the first episode, they said, oh, we also have an Osha action figure. So I was like,
okay.
They were sitting on it. I'm still waiting for the Hasbro announcement for the Chimera action figure because I'm just going to have the Lee Jung Jae figure sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, and you want the full
I need
set.
someone to like fight with them.
Yeah, what a good story. I mean, you can tell great little, great little diorama with those 3 characters. They've got it. I mean, that I almost want the Darth Bortles action figure at this point.
That's I could have just had him. I didn't really need the Lee Jung Jae.
Yeah, if they had come in different models, try to get an extra one for me.
For sure. I mean, what you should do, you should just start collecting like Asian Americans, right? And just have a collection of like Simu Liu and Aquafina from Shang-Chi. You can have a Randall Park figure from WandaVision.
I do want a Randall Park figure. That's true. But yeah, yeah. And I was gonna say really quick. I'm sorry, I keep stumbling over the. I stumble over OSHA every time because I just keep thinking of that poster about the occupational sylphony
Exactly.
thing, and I think again that was part of the could have been better planning of the Acolyte. Was that like was that the name you wanted to go with that character? I'm not sure because we as adults have all seen that poster,
Yeah, she
and
violates
that's
a lot of workplace safety.
so many safety hazards at workplace. It was like 2 minutes since our last lightsaber related accidents happened.
Well, and I will say one other criticism of, again, the show's execution. I get this might be a victim of the length and the pacing. Soul's whole deal is that he wants a Padawan. It's partly a little creepy, to be honest. Like, especially when he's first on the planet and he's like obsessed with the twins.
Yes.
But that's part of his character is like he really wants to have his own Padawan. And
when you say it like that, it does sound creepy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very emotional when Jackie dies, but like they kind of like leave it at that, and it's almost like that should have affected him more, I think, because she was his Padawan, and Chimera just murdered her, the X-23 actress.
Oh, right.
Right, when he Swiss cheeses her with his extra lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like, there's no follow-up to that from Soul's perspective, because like he just got another young girl killed, basically. You know what I mean? But
yeah, they sort of flashed back
kind of
past
like,
its
right.
Yeah. No, you're right about that one. Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, I was not a fan of the show after the first like 3 episodes. And to your point, I still think it could have been better, but I'm all in on Manny Jacinto carrying season 2.
Totally. Yeah.
And leave it at like they kind of leave it at they need to have a season 2. You can't, like.
No, they have a lot of interesting places to go. And again, anyone jump in and tell me about the actual High Republic source material because I have no idea, zero idea whether it relates to that or not. But yeah, I think they developed enough threads that were really compelling. The first one mainly being Darth Bortles, and the thing you just mentioned again is something that they should have spent more time on. But I think they got like we have to introduce a new character, blah blah blah, and something in the next episode. Sometimes they do this thing where they keep like trying to throw new reveals in rather than like marinate on the ones that we got, and that was that could have been cooler, but it showed potential for something cool. Anyway,
the Acolyte wasn't the only thing that we haven't had a chance to talk about since our last podcast. There are several trailers dropped in the intervening weeks. For example, Captain America.
Oh yeah,
and the Brave New World, I think is what it's called. And that was an interesting trailer. As someone who lives like 45 minutes from DC, it was like not any Washington DC that I reckon. Like those cherry blossoms are like, I don't know if it's the color grading or the CGI, but those are some pink ass cherry blossoms.
Wait, you've noticed what?
No, like in the back, like I feel like the background was a little bad CGI.
You mean they didn't feel like
it didn't feel like they were actually in Washington DC.
Oh like, yeah, no, those are probably drawn cherry blossoms.
I mean it feels, but it's not even they like feels like they were shooting in Cleveland. It feels like they were in the volume, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
All right,
like,
okay.
But without coloring, what did you think of the Captain America trailer?
I didn't even notice the freaking cherry blossoms, but okay. I guess California good. I liked that they seem to be latching on to the Captain America the Winter Soldier vibe.
Yeah.
And it does, we as nerds who lived through the whole period, we know that Captain America the Winter Soldier was a big fucking deal. Right? We kind of
it made people take the MCU seriously. Like even more so than Avengers.
Even more so than Avengers. They had the one, okay, we got them all teamed up, but now can we make a movie that's basically to answer the question of can we make a movie that's not kind of stupid?
Can we make a real movie? No, yeah,
right. And Winter Soldier completely answered that question. Yes, by inhabiting the kind of 70s spy political thriller vibe as their like sort of overlayer of genre, and some really kick-ass action sequences and very committed performances, I'd say, from all the leads, that movie just was freaking great.
And it solidified the Russos as the template for that era of the MCU.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And justly so. And so when I'm sure I'm just saying this because I'm sure some people are going, oh, well, they already did that in Winter Soldier. But yeah, in the idea of a template that if it works, please do it again because it worked really well and it saved, well, the Marvel movies could have gone a different direction. They could have all been, Dark World. But yeah, go for that vibe again. And not the same director, different cast and everything, but try to go for that vibe again. And again, in movies and comic books, they do this all the time. They just like that vibe worked. That whole milieu was a good one. Let's do a sequel. You know, all right, that was a long way of saying I like the vibe of it.
I liked it too. It's just I bumped on the cherry blossoms. Did you see the rumor that the Russos may be coming back to the MCU and directing Avengers 5 and 6? Rumor. I don't know if that's just because MCU is desperate or the Russos like, oh, we can't make movies that aren't Marvel.
Is that I I might be in the school of the Russo brothers might be living their best life making movies for Marvel. I'm gonna say that. And is that more or less unlikely than Biden will drop out and we'll have a different Democratic candidate?
Well, I mean,
those are two like
well, talking about prescience, I mean, when that trailer dropped, one of the striking things from the trailer, of course, is Isaiah Bradley shoots the president.
Yeah, fucking A.
That looks like the catalyst, the event of the movie.
Yeah.
And we had what happened a couple days later. It's almost like, is MCU like predicting shit now?
I mean, I think they have two different endings planned for when it comes out based on how the election shakes out.
Yeah,
because the whole country will be in a totally different vibe.
It comes out next year, right? It's
in still... February of next year.
Yeah.
Like exactly when we'll just be reeling from whoever gets sworn in.
Well, it's interesting that either way, the president in that movie turns to a giant red monster. Maybe not an orange.
Right.
It turns to a giant red monster. So
right. They're locked into that. Yeah. Maybe that had something to do with the coloring of the cherry blossoms.
Maybe they over color corrected because they had to fit.
They use a red point to base it on. That things accents like that can happen, and no one notices except you guys who look at cherry blossoms. But to get to that point for a second, the part I'm suspicious about, I very much like the concept of the way Brave New Worlds look. I'm suspicious about the Harrison Ford part because to me it's a bit much to bring Harrison Ford in at this point. And I say that with the caveat that the Robert Redford part in Winter Soldier was fucking great. They had the Hollywood icon of Zeus level Hollywood star, and he was like the weird deep state like evil deep cover guy who says Hail Hydra at the end. I think that was a coup for Marvel in so many ways, and Redford sold it too. Like he played the part well. I'm not sure if the same like kind of generous effect is going to happen with Harrison Ford. I mean, what do you think?
Because Harrison Ford, I mean, he's not only is he replacing William Hurt, not that like William Hurt is this icon. William Hurt was a great actor. He's not this like pop culture icon. Harrison Ford is leaps and bounds more iconic than William Hurt, but he's still like, a lot of people when the trailer came out was like, oh, you can replace Thunderbolt Ross, but you can't replace T'Challa, and it's still not the same thing. It's still not the same thing, right? Like Thunderbolt Ross is a side character, and they were insistent on having like you could have written that character out unless you really wanted Red Hulk in the movie. So like they were like, okay, we still need to keep Thunderbolt Ross in the movie. Let's just recast him the same way we recast, Rhodey. So like people aren't unrecastable. It's just the magnitude of their characters can or cannot be replaced. Like if you just all of a sudden recast Steve Rogers from one movie to the next, that would actually hurt the MCU because the MCU's strength to this point, and I've argued this for years, why they're stronger than DC is that the characters in DC are the icons. In the MCU in particular, It's the actors who are playing those characters
Yeah.
who are iconic. It's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It's Chris Evans as Captain America. It's Chris Hemsworth as Thor. If you just swapped one of them out, it would not land the same way as you're swapping Henry Cavill for David Cornsweet and you're rebooting a universe.
Right. Oh, we should get to that too. But yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's not the same as when Chadwick Boseman tragically passed. You couldn't just bring in another actor and say there's no difference. He's still the same T'Challa. You can't do that.
No,
you can do that with Ross.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I think my only point was that the actor of Harrison Ford's caliber is he tilts the weight of the whole thing in a certain way too. And also, I'm one of those people who doesn't really care to see Red Hulk. The Red Hulk is not my favorite
I wasn't
thing.
that. I wasn't.
So whatever. So those are the question marks.
But that's another reason you hire Harrison Ford, because he's like, because he's not doing the mocap.
Okay, definitely not. Yeah.
So you're just casting Harrison Ford for like, half the job, and the other half is all going to be CGI, and he's more than happy to.
Yeah, I hope he has a good time, and I hope he, lends the movie that extra heft that Redford did.
It is wild that Harrison Ford is older than both Trump and Biden, and yet it looks like a pretty effective president in the trailer.
Can we just write him in for real? Oh my God.
So we can briefly talk about the Agatha All Along trailer. Are you interested at all in that show? Because I'm not.
I'm opposed to that, not because for the specific reason that I don't like that song as much as everyone lost their head over it. I like Kathryn Hahn a lot. I like Kathryn Hahn as an actor a lot. Agatha Harkness is like an okay character in the Fantastic Four area of things. Again, that's why I wonder if that's why they're pushing it, because she was always Fantastic Four associated. And I guess, but I have no idea what the premise is. And if they're playing that song every 3 minutes, I'm out, because I didn't I write modern pop musical songs, and they're not all created equal. I just want that. I want that one to be better.
The only thing I will give them credit for the Agatha show is that, I don't know if you had followed, but ever since they announced it, they kept changing the name of the show. It was originally Agatha House of Harkness, then it was Agatha Darkhold Diaries, and they just kept changing the name, and then they finally revealed, it was Agatha all along, and I just thought that was cute. But
cute, you enjoyed it, or cute?
No, like they're trolling. The cute because they were trolling entertainment journalists.
Yeah, against me, that's a little that's a joke that doesn't make me LOL.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's they're only doing this show as a troll almost, right? There's no other reason to have this show on the air other than they wanted to do the joke.
You mean maybe it doesn't even exist, or
maybe it won't come out.
Okay. I don't know. I have no expectations. If it's just Kathryn Hahn making freaking home videos with herself, that's great. That's fine. I don't want it to have a big lore impact.
Oh, it will. That's the problem. So speaking of big lore impacts, there's one more trailer. It literally just dropped before we recorded. By the way, we're recording this podcast on Friday. Even though you're listening to this on Monday, we've already recorded. So if big, giant, monumental, seismic events happened between Saturday and Sunday, and we're not talking about it, it's because we're recording this on Friday. So thank
you for noting that. Yes,
Democratic candidate is now Kamala Harris, and we keep referencing Biden. That's because we're not predicting the future.
If Red Hulk shows up and destroys Las Vegas
Red Hulk
on Sunday,
is the new candidate.
We're slightly out of the loop.
Exactly.
Anyway.
But right before we started recording, Disney dropped the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
And you have not watched this trailer yet.
I haven't seen this one yet. They're calling it the final trailer.
This is the final trailer. So we're actually going to watch and react to the Deadpool trailer. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, it might be weird.
I know I turn everything into a joke, but I care. I want to use that for something important.
Oh, the fuck! I didn't realize it was the Fox sign.
Yeah, that's the meta aspect of it.
Right.
In my world, you're well regarded. X-Men.
They're fully leaning into the Fox X-Men.
All all those Wolverine movies, some better than others.
The hero in the world.
Oh, there's Daphne.
You know what?
She was the best.
You ain't shit in mine. Scott used to beg me to wear this suit. So
Scott did?
Yeah, they're really
But
leaning
I
into the
couldn't have him
suit.
thinking I wanted to be there.
Huh.
And it was too late.
Huh.
It's only 9 people, but my entire world is right here in this picture.
Oh, God.
I have no idea how to save it alone, but you know how to save it.
Whoever you think I am. You got the wrong guy.
Hey.
Jackie lives.
You were always the wrong guy.
Aw.
Until you weren't.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Fuck yeah, I'm ready. I'm the
Lady
Wolverine.
Deadpool, not Gwenpool, but okay.
Stop it.
Oh, come on. All right, no. Now, is there one more troll, or is that the whole trailer?
That was the trailer. That was it.
You've seen it. You would watch it this earlier. This
I
morning.
saw it right before we started recording.
All right, so tell me what we're talking about then. I have a lot of thoughts.
No, I want to hear your first impression, because I will say this. I've never been the biggest Deadpool fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I am kind of heartened that they're leaning into the emotional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was for our final trailer, there was not a lot of jokes. So
Right.
I think that is more appealing to me than if this was just straight up like meta. Like the Daphne Keene cameo kind of ruined. Like, it would be cooler if I didn't know she was in the movie. Although, again, it's one of those things where you assume she's probably going to show up. Particularly when they showed like flashbacks to the other movies, including Logan.
Right.
You kind of sense that it'll happen. But I appreciate that they're leaning into like the emotional aspect of the movie, because it has not been honestly on my like anticipated radar, even though it's coming out next week.
And did you think for a second there wasn't going to be a big emotional saving the universe arc in the movie? I took that as for granted.
Were the other Deadpool movies like that? I don't remember if there were
You
like
don't remember? Okay, so I mean,
were there
no,
emotional cores to the other two? I don't remember. I really
no.
don't.
It's not like there's a big emotional core like well, whatever, like saving. They always found a way to make it like a mission that you cared about at the end, even if the mission was in a stupid, snarky Deadpool way, because it was, saving the woman he loved, helping the woman he loved, or helping some kids who would otherwise be killed. So
Yeah,
now
I'm starting to remember, I guess.
I guess it didn't land very hard, but that's okay. My whole thing with wondering about the Deadpool Wolverine movie as a Marvel fan and thinking about plot armor and tropes and all like that, I wasn't sure what kind of big threat they were going to engineer, because we've had several versions of, Thanos kills most people, or the whole universe is going to unravel. I just didn't know what the big threat is going to be.
It's Xavier's sister, right? Cassandra.
Right. So there's Cassandra Nova, who is, as to my knowledge, was created by Grant Morrison in his X-Men run, and one of Morrison's audacious characters, Professor Xavier's sister, who we never knew about, mentally blocked.
Because he tried to kill her in the womb, I thought, right?
Right, because that just happens. Did you read those comics or no?
I know of them. I didn't read all.
No, I read them, and they're freaking crazy. But yeah, TLDR, Cassandra Nova is like Professor.
These are the Frank Quietly drawn ones, right? When they're wearing
so
leather jackets with the big yellow X's on them.
Yeah, the ones they make fun of routinely but they Cassandra is like sort of Xavier level telepathy, mental powers, which are like no joke. Like, she can manipulate reality, and it's a big deal. So her presence begs the idea that there's some like big sort of world-ending threat, a cosmic threat, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really sure how Deadpool and Wolverine going to handle that because basically they've got guns and like a guy who stabs people.
Well, and there's all the TVA stuff, about it all, right? Where they're like being pulled into the, what is it, the void or whatever that world is called, where the big purple smoke monster, and like they're playing around with like the whole multiverse stuff. Some of the visuals of Cassandra looks like she's manipulating, like destroying the world, and it looks like Loki, where everyone turns into spaghetti.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that.
I feel like I would have.
So they're bringing in some of the
but...
visual language of Loki.
Sure, which is a very popular show for
I mean,
them.
like I'm more, I guess, interested in the thing. Part of me is that, like, I know we've talked about this. I know the X-Men are having a moment this year, but it's a lot of like retread of like what we've already seen. Even with X-Men 97, it's bringing back Hugh Jackman. Earlier in the year, we had what's his name, Fraser, coming back as Beast.
Yes, we did.
And like one of the things I was hoping with the MC, and it still may happen, right? Like they'll destroy the Fox world, and I don't think Hugh Jackman's going to continue playing Wolverine unless this movie makes $2 billion and Disney won't let Hugh Jackman finally fucking retire. But part of the promise of the X-Men in the MCU was that we're going to see like different takes on the X-Men, and I'm not like 100% thrilled to have like retreads of the Fox X-Men. Just let me be, honest about it. Like the Sabretooth cameo, even the Daphne Keene cameo was like, I really liked Logan and didn't really need to see X-23 again, to be honest.
No, I get that. And I honestly think, and this is a prediction which may not be right, I honestly think they're showing us all that, and they're going to kill them all and introduce new X-Men. I think that's
probably what's going to happen.
I think that's what's going to happen in this movie.
I think Avengers 5, that used to be called Kang Empire or whatever, the Kang Dynasty. No, like, sources are telling me this. This is not journalistic. This is complete me pulling it out of my ass. I think Avengers 5 is going to be called Avengers versus X-Men.
Oh God, please let that be true.
I think
that'd be so great. And such a better idea than Avengers versus Kang.
I really like it'll. What, to your point, this movie ends with all of the versions of the Fox X-Men except for Ryan Reynolds. I think they'll keep him.
Yeah, they will.
And everyone dies, and there'll be a new X-Men world that'll merge with the MCU, and it'll be leading into the next Avengers movie.
That's probably what happens. Yeah. So I mean, so all those things. So the thing I'm wondering about this movie is what kind of threat does the form take, and I do hope that that's the place that they get to. Kill the past, whatever.
Maybe Cassandra Nova kills Loki, because if you recall from the end of Loki, he's the guy who's controlling the multiverse now.
Maybe, except I think
she shows up. She shows up in the beginning of the movie and like comes to him on his throne and like snaps his neck or whatever, and that's what makes the multiverse unravel.
Right, but again, killed meaning he probably comes back because they like Loki and they like Tom Hiddleston.
Sure,
I think
but
they're locked into him
But right now, all Loki is doing is sitting on a throne, holding all of the multiverse together.
Right. Okay, so that's good. I like that we're like fanfic writing this movie. like
that's coming out in a week.
Right. And it'll be funny because this is going to be exactly what happens. We're going to look like geniuses. All right, so Cassandra Nova kills
and then Manny
Loki.
Jacinto shows up and throws it all out away.
If only. That'll be Avengers 6.
when they just make real Patton Oswalt's big speech from Parks and Recreation.
Right, when we finally converge everything at once. But yeah, like so I'm not totally sold on the idea that Deadpool, my family, blah blah blah. I'm not sold on that. I wonder if Ryan Reynolds can sell it.
That's probably why I don't remember it from the other two movies.
Yeah, I'm curious why Wolverine, the plot mechanics of why he's the one to seek out. Because again, Wolverine takes damage and slashes people. He doesn't have any particular cosmic angle on he doesn't do this
except
shit
he can't die, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they there's a special keyhole that only his claw can unlock pick or some bullshit like that. I'm a little curious what hoops they'll jump through to get that to happen. But I'm excited by that scenario that we just laid out, basically. Kill all
and if that doesn't happen, it'll suck. it'll be the worst movie
Well,
ever.
I'll find
If it
something
doesn't
about
follow
it
what
that
we want to happen.
I'm sure it'll suck in some way anyway. But I like the idea that the big moment is they could address the question of, are we bringing up back those old X-Men or not? For you Kelsey Grammer fans, like, it's like, no, we're killing them all, but we're gonna then give them a big moment. And of course, Cassandra Nova is a good character to do this. She sort of implies a kind of endgame event for the X-Men if you follow the X-Men lore and all that shit.
So when movies open during Comic-Con weekend, does that hurt or help a movie's box office potential? Because like the last thing I want to do during Comic-Con is go to the movies, to be honest. Like, I don't think I've ever stepped inside a movie theater at Comic-Con that wasn't already like Hall H where they're showing you a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember going to an AMC or a Regal in the gas lamp.
No, you're right. But do you ever go to those things where they're like showing one just like in
Well,
the
that's what I'm saying. Like in the
upstairs
ballroom, or what is it, Ballroom 6 or whatever, where they're like, here's the world premiere of Batman animated whatever. That's different from like the movie's opening, because you're not paying for that. You know what I'm saying? You're not.
Well, yeah.
What I'm just wondering is, like, they're opening this the same weekend of Comic-Con. Will that help or hurt their box office?
Well, I mean,
not that many nerds are at Comic-Con, I guess.
If they what sentence did you just say?
No, like the number of people in the Deadpool audience across the country are not all going to be at Comic-Con.
Oh, okay. It's like, what?
Like, it's just a percentage of everyone else who's going to the theater.
If they were really nice, they would just show it to the people at Comic-Con through some sort of like special screening.
Like, if there's a Deadpool Hall H presentation.
I somehow don't think they're that nice, but
there will be a Marvel presentation though. MCU's in Hall H again.
Right, which is I was about to say new, but it's not new. It's returning to that. Renewed from that thing they used to do, and they stopped doing it for a while. And I think that very much aligns with Marvel we may have peaked and are waning interest in Marvel, so we got to get back to the fan base again, which is absolutely right. It's absolutely something they should do. So good for them to recognize that. Get back to SDCC, the source, D23 for your investors. Who cares? That's my opinion.
Well, there's no announcement from Warner Brothers of a DC Studios presentation. There's a Penguin panel in Hall H.
Well, they also should get with the program.
Well, and here's what I'm wondering, because James Gunn just announced they finished filming in Cleveland, because they've been in Cleveland for the last couple of weeks shooting outside, and we can talk about that, where like absolutely no effort to hide anything.
Interesting.
Like, straight up photo. I mean, you've seen, right, the leaks from the set, like straight up photos
of
David Cornsweet in the costume, of the other Justice League members flying around. So and James, there are like paparazzi photos of James Gunn like waving at the camera. So like they're not trying to like keep under wraps what any of the movie looks like. Okay. And here's my, again, speculation completely pulled out of my ass, the same place I found Avengers versus X-Men. What if, because they said they're leaving Cleveland now, what if the cast of Superman is on a flight to San Diego and they secretly show up during the Penguin panel? The first teaser for Superman.
That could happen. They do shit like that.
It's a very James Gunn thing to do, right?
A very James Gunn thing, a very classic, like, mid-2000s Comic-Con thing to do, to cameo at a panel. Well, I just hope that does happen, and I hope our colleague Laura and whoever else is attending will be on top of it. That'd be cool. Yeah, what were your thoughts about? I had a thing to say about the David Cornsweet issue, but what are your thoughts about the Superman?
No, we talked when they first revealed the official photo where he's like putting his boots on, and I wasn't feeling the costume in that photo. But I have to admit, like, seeing it in bright daylight, even though these are behind the scenes photos, like paparazzi long lens photos, I do like it more in the light. I still hate the collar.
The collar.
The new 52 kind of like, high collar for Superman. Where the cape doesn't, like, I like the classic, you can see Superman's clavicle look.
Something about that clavicle says
something
Superman.
About the clavicle for me on Superman. But I think it's practical. The reason that they designed the costume this way is that, I don't know if you've seen David Cornsweet in other things, but his neck is abnormally long.
Oh, okay.
And
so...
I don't know if when he bulks up, it maybe looks not so like giraffe-y, but I think
Hmm.
that they did the high collar so he doesn't look weird in the costume, where he has like, he's big and bulky, but he's got this like, you know, skinny neck that and a
Nice.
giant head on top of
Interesting.
it.
Well, that's a very astute costuming point, Keith. You and the cherry blossoms are just all over the visual detailing today.
Hey,
I
I've seen him, and we own this city, and I didn't watch all of Hollywood, but I only watched a little bit of it when it was announced he was in it. And he's going to be Superman, or he was going to be Superman. And I just like, I like this look, and like his facial structure looks just like Superman, but he always had, to me, had this like really long neck.
like that dude
And
is
so,
long
and I
neck.
was just thinking,
Okay.
like in the traditional Superman costume, it just might look too weird because he's got this long skinny neck. And I think
That's really interesting. Okay, I will mention I did just see David Corn Sweat in the.
yeah,
I'll
you saw
get
Twisters.
I'll get his name eventually, but I did see David Corn Sweat. Another thing is went to see Twisters in the theater, and he's a side character, and I was interested in, because I'm not that familiar with his stuff. I didn't. The neck thing didn't pop out at me.
So maybe he doesn't have
were
a
you?
long neck. Maybe it's just me.
I get the sense he's tall. Is he tall, man?
He's very tall.
Just okay.
He's probably the tallest actor to have ever played Superman. He's
All right.
he's like taller than Chris Reeve was.
Oh, okay. And so tall, it was pretty tall. So there's a tall guy, and then what tall guy with a long neck? Okay, that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if God already gave you height, he's got to also like add a couple inches.
Yeah. So he was actually, I mean, he was a side character in this sort of delightful B movie. So I didn't get a big impression of him, but it was just I was like tickled to be like, oh, that's the guy's gonna be Superman.
Did you like Twisters?
I enjoyed Twisters very much, as far as a really good disaster B movie about a woman who has a soulful revenge cycle with a tornado. And it does a lot of things great.
Did you like the original one?
Yeah, did you see Twisters original in 1990?
Of course, the original. I mean, the original
Yeah,
one's a classic. The Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton and the Flying Cows. Like, that's indelible mid 90s movie. I'm just surprised that like Twister isn't the movie that I thought deserves a legacy sequel. So it's just a weird, like, that, you know.
Yeah,
in
no,
the Top Gun Maverick and, you know, Bad Boys Ride or Die and Beverly Hills Cop 4, you know, bringing back all
Beverly
these
Hills Cop
old...
4 rocks, but
that was very good. I
we
will
can
admit,
get to the
Axel F is probably
See,
my
there's
favorite
something
movie.
to that, and I think Top Gun Maverick might have proved out a point for them.
Yeah.
They might have been a proof of concept for them, where they're like, this is iffy because 30 years ago, and but because they did so successfully, now they're like, okay, we have a template.
Is Helen Hunt, does she make a cameo in the movie?
She does not.
Well, see, I'm not going to see it.
But it doesn't matter, because one of the funny things, if you've seen original Twister, they follow the plot exactly. Exactly.
So this is more of a remake than a legacy.
It's like a restaging of Twister 1.
So it's not like it takes
stuff.
so it's different than from these other movies we're saying, where they are legacy, like the other things existed.
Yes,
this does not exist.
Yes, because who cares if Helen Hunt's like
I
son grew up under her shadow to be a tornado chaser?
I would at least have Helen Hunt make a cameo. I mean, Paul Reiser shows up in Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Now, if you want cameos of women actors of that era, Maura Tierney is the one. Maura Tierney shows up, and that's delightful.
Wait, was she in the original?
No, I'm just saying she was of
no, I'm talking about like the character, because Bill Paxton's dead. I get he can't be in the sequel.
He can't.
But Helen Hunt, what's she doing? She should anyway.
I know we all loved Helen Hunt to that movie.
I do
love
Helen Hunt. The more
Daisy Edgar Jones is delightful in the lead as the basic stand-in for that character. And when I say exactly, I don't mean exactly. Like, I mean
from the trailer, it looks pretty close.
Like a tornado killed someone I loved, and I have my whole life is trying to get revenge.
Are there flying cows at least?
It's a weirdly spoilery thing to say, but no, I was expecting flying cows, and they might have thought, I don't know if there's like a new rule against portraying cow abuse in movies over the last 30 years. They didn't have that.
Have you seen they recently released Twister on 4K Steelbook, and the art is just a tornado and a cow in the air. So I don't think
there's a similar gag, but not the same gag. So yeah, I was a little surprised by that. But all of that say, it has the same joys as original Twister I would say very completely.
Okay. Well, I'll catch it when it eventually comes
without without being like a really, artfully penetrating good movie.
The reason I ask is that I don't know what it takes to bring you out to the theater to see a movie, and why was Twisters the one?
Well, in this case it was just because some friends from a pub I go to were going, and I thought no, I would not seek it out myself to go see. It wasn't on my list. Someone said we're going to see Twisters. I said that sounds great. I'll tag along. It's directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who did the
Minari
right?
guy. Yeah.
He does a great job. It's I'm saying it's very well composed for what it is.
Sure.
And yeah, no, it wasn't high on my list, but I had a really good time. I don't really like that Glenn Powell dude, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest Anthony Ramos fan either.
Hitman was good. I liked Hitman.
Okay, right on. But yeah, but the lead is very compelling, and some of the other side characters are pretty good, and yeah. Now, I don't think it was as fun as Beverly Hills Cop 4, but that's a different animal because it is from all the legacy characters.
Yeah.
But
no, I like the Axel. I think Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is a stupid title. Like, why not just call it Beverly Hills Cop 4?
Why not just call it Axel 4 as if that's what? No.
Or Axel F is the name of the theme song. Like, I don't know why you call the fourth movie Axel Foley. I mean, it's not even called Axel Foley. It's called Axel F. Whatever, doesn't matter. Go watch it. Watch Twisters. Watch that. Watch Deadpool. Like, do we have to tell you? I will announce that this is the last Hard Knock Life we're going to be doing for a while. The show is not going on hiatus or anything. It's just we're not going to stick to a regular schedule, as you can tell, because this episode is coming out many weeks after the last one. But in the meantime, Dominic, how can people find you, and what things do you got going on in the world?
Oh, well, I'm Dominic Ma. I'm Dama, DOMMAH on the socials. I started writing a Kindle Vella, if anyone knows what that is. I've been writing a fair amount of fiction lately, and I started.
You finished your novel, right?
I did. It's in draft form. I'm going to tack it to be a second draft pretty soon. But then I had this other idea, and I wanted to do it in a sort of tossed off fanfic kind of way. And so it's this story called Unicorn versus Pegasus. And it's on a Kindle Vella, and it's in episodes. And please go check it out, because there's a contest that ends August 20th. So
we'll drop a link.
Go click on that thing. And I'm enjoying that a lot. So I'm writing this science fiction rom-com-y serial that reads like a fanfic that someone cares a lot about, because it's true. And it's called Unicorn versus Pegasus on Kindle Vella. And that's one thing I do. And then also 12 Valentines for music. And Keith.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter, the Real Chow, the _real_chow. Follow the Nerds of Color at the Nerds of Color on all platforms. Support us on TeePublic. We just dropped I just dropped a new t-shirt design after a while, and it's got nothing to do with nerdy shit, but I've fallen madly in love with Shota Imanaga, the pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, who his nickname is Mike, and I made a Be Like Mike t-shirt, and I put that on the Nerds of Color page.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes by Mike when he goes to like Dunkin' Donuts.
Cool.
And so it's kind of caught on among like Chicago sports fans to call him Mike Imanaga II. That's his like jokey name. Even on the locker room. So like in honor of the All-Star game in which he pitched a no-hitter inning, I made a Be Like Mike t-shirt with his silhouette, and I think it's really cool. So check it out. Cool. I'll drop a link to that.
I will. I had no idea this was your current favorite superhero.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the best show in baseball.
Okay. Yeah. A duel.
So the link to that will be here.
Has he pitched against Shohei yet? Is that going to happen on the schedule?
The Dodgers and the Cubs played early in the year. It was pretty thrilling.
Right on.
They're actually opening. That's the other big news if you're a baseball fan. They're opening the season next year in Japan, Cubs and the Dodgers.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah, and the Cubs just released a really sweet video where like they imagine Shota and Seiya Suzuki, the other Japanese player on the team, as children watching the Cubs on TV.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's really cute. Anyway, yeah, baseball is my current fave for the next 50 days because the Bears just reported the training camp today. and they
Yep.
will be the subject of Hard Knocks on HBO throughout the rest of the summer.
Yeah, I was confused by that because they had some other Hard Knocks episodes going on.
The Giants they're doing the Giants now.
Okay.
So like Hard Knocks is like it's weird because anyway, that's the end of the show. We're gonna sign off talking about Hard Knocks and not Hard Knock Life, interestingly enough. But Hard
This
Knocks
should be
has
our
become
tag
like
every
a
time.
mini
Okay,
franchise.
yeah.
Like they do an off-season one, which is the Giants. Then they do a training camp one, which will be the Bears. And then they do one during the season. And I think this season they're following like a whole division. It's not just one team. I think it's the AFC North.
Oh, okay. I thank you for clarifying. I was a little clear, but I do want to watch the one with the Bears, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah, that should debut next week or in 2 weeks or whatever.
Okay, cool.
So maybe we will come back as the podcast, but just cover the show that is also our namesake.
Yeah, which would be ironic. Like people would actually know what the show is about for once.
Hard Knock Life covering Hard Knocks on HBO.
Weirder things
Maybe.
have happened.
That might be what we end up doing, and we just lose all of our nerd fans, and we bring on a bunch of sports
I'm
fans.
just gonna whisper this really loud. I bet that's the kind of hook that would get Mina Kimes to show up on the show more than the other one.
Yes, Mina, we love dogs.
Because
Maybe
we'll be at
you
the
and
same.
Lenny can come on the show.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful, and because at the same time we'll analogize how all that stuff relates to the X-Men and their team.
Right, because Mina, you're a nerd too.
Their
This
team
is our
formations.
pitch.
Yeah,
This is our pitch to Mina Kimes to come on Hard Knock Life.
there's gonna be NFL stuff concurrent with X-Men stuff, and Asian American political stuff, and anyway.
Maybe she'll be our third
Right.
co-host.
So you just said we're going on a hiatus, but if there's a clamor for that, please just
we will come back in a heartbeat.
make some
We're
noise
basically
on the internet.
no set schedule is what I'm saying.
Yeah, right on.
All right. Thanks everybody.